going to share my screen, and I don't know if you guys can see it. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you need to just for Precious, if you need to, I'm going to sign out of my account. If you need to create a new account, you can just sign up. It's very easy to follow the whole step, and you're good to go. Really, nothing. It's not. There's no complex anything. But uh, once you sign up, when you're done, you'd see this whole menu and all of that stuff. One of the To start a project, basically just go to create, new document. You can name it whatever you want to, but for this, we name it keyholder, and you create that document. And so it's going to open up this entire thing that you can see here. And this is kind of where it gets confusing. Too many menus here, menus there, another menu here, just menus everywhere. But for this, for what we're going to do today, just pretend none of these things exist for now, and then one by one we'd start picking them out. So I don't know if you guys watched the shorts from the last time, the last YouTube video, but we mentioned that all these 3D models start from a sketch, like if you're drawing on paper. And so say for this key holder that we're making, for this stuff, whatever it is, it starts out as a sketch, as though just imagine you're going to draw some lines on paper. And the piece of paper that you're going to, the drawing board that you're going to use, or the surface you want to put your sketch on, is called a plane. And these things here, front, right, they're all planes. They're called planes. And so when you want to start a sketch, you have to choose what surface do you want to draw on, front, top, right. It really doesn't matter that much. It's just, it depends on how you want to organize your project. But for this, would choose the front. And so to start a sketch, you just go to this side of the screen, and there's a menu here. Sorry, there's a button here called sketch, and you click it. Very easy. And you bring this menu up to you, and you can see it's asking you to choose a sketch plane, select a sketch plane. When you see it, when the sketch is written in red like this, it means that something is wrong. And what is wrong here is that you haven't selected the sketch. So just click on selected the plane. So just click on that plane, and we're good to go. So right now we have this sketch. It's telling us this sketch one that we've made is on the front plane. You can decide to rename the sketch whatever you want, but I think it's just okay to leave it as sketch. And so to do things, now that you have the sketch, what do you do with it? To work within that sketch. Just if you look at this menu here, there's just a bunch of stuff there. We don't bother about it for now. But to do something with your sketch, to actually start working with this sketch, you can right click and go to edit. All you notice is that the menu has changed. And that's that when you're inside a sketch, the menus are different. And so you have different tools that you can use to draw. And we're going to focus on maybe like 2 or 3 of these. You have a line tool you can use to draw lines about, or you can use a rectangle, use it to draw out a rectangle, or a circle, or a polygon. Polygon. As many as you want, with as many sizes as you want. And you can even do for text as well here. And so you can write out whatever you want. And you have all of that. So that's just big. These are some of the basic things that you need for a sketch. And so if we're going to make this key holder, one of the we're going to make this key holder, one of the first things that you notice is that one of the shapes that it's similar to, if you look at the whole thing, is that it looks like a rectangle. So we start out with this corner rectangle and make one. And that's it. You're done with that sketch. But yeah. And when you have a sketch, it's this uninteresting piece of, it's just this uninteresting connection of lines that have made up a rectangle. How then do you actually turn it into a 3D model? So when you want to start actually making your 3D models from your sketch, you use a tool called the Extrude tool. And that's in this normal menu. You just look at it here. It's Extrude. If you can't find it, you can go through any of these tools and find the Extrude tool. It also appears in your sketch, and you can see it's Extrude. And what this Extrude does is it asks, what the Extrude tool does is that it asks you to select a face and a region or a sketch region or whatever. And this area inside this rectangle that you've drawn is a sketch region. So if you select it, you have this block of 3D model, and whatever you want to do with it, you can pull it as far as you want, as far as your design requires. And you can see it's changing the dimension, that's the thickness. You can also move it in the opposite direction. And because you're designing things for the real world, you actually want to give it real life dimensions or constraints, because we can't just, you put anything there. You might want to, give it like a 4 or 5 thickness. I think that's fine. But yeah, but before we go to extrude, before we start using an extrude, let's go back into our sketch. I mentioned that you're designing things for the real world. You've seen the rectangle tool in action. You need to define a particular dimension for whatever it is that you're making. It's not compulsory, but it's very, very helpful if you're doing things in real world, because when you're making something real, it has to either fit into something that you're using. You need to be able to put it in your pocket. It can't be too big, it can't be too small. So you need to choose the right dimension. And you do that by choosing the dimension tool here, or you can press D on your keyboard. So you click that, and you can go to the line you want to give a dimension to. So how long do we want this key holder to be? You can see it starts to highlight. You click on that, and it currently shows 120, but I think we can give it a 10 centimeter or 100 width or length. And how wide do we want it to be on this side? I think we can give it 45, and that way you're good to go. Since you've dimensioned it, you've given the constraints that you want. The key holder that will be 100 millimeters by 45 millimeters. That's fine. Now the next thing again is to now go to our extrude tool, because we want to make this a 3D model. And yeah, so the face and region that we select is this place, and you can see, because it's the dimensions here showing 25 millimeters, that's a little too thick for a key holder, unless that's the type of key holder you want to make. But I think for this one, 5 millimeters is fine. And that's it. You have this block already. Now it looks nothing like this, but we're getting there, and it does not look that interesting yet. But this is where you continue the work. Also, if you notice, when we were in Sketch, we did not have anything down here because we don't have a 3D model. Or once you have a 3D model, it appears as a part here. And until you have a 3D model, a part is not going to appear. So you have this thing called part one. You can rename it to whatever you want. And here we're just going to rename it keyholder. Yeah. So you're done with one bit, and that's the extruding. So you know if you're going to make a 3D model, one of the first things you use is extrude. So what else does a key holder need? It needs a slot to, put that ring. I don't know what that ring is called, but you need that ring that you can put inside to attach your key. So you need a hole. And what you say, a hole is a circle shape. So we're going to need to put a circle somewhere around here. All right, someone's joining. Okay. Is that everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm coming from Blender, right? And like I think of things in terms of like steps or what I want done to a 3D model. Like I can do the exact same thing in Blender, but I know where like extrude is placed. Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
hear.
So I know where extrude is placed,
Yeah.
right? If I wanted to make an edge curve, I could use a bevel tool. So what are these range of tools placed? Like where are they placed in?
Yeah. I'll get to that. Um yeah, so I will add first. I just want to make like the what's it called? Basic the basic appearance of this thing, and we'll get into we'll get into
Okay.
all the other tools. Well, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Um so basically for our key holder requirements, again, we need the basic form of it, which is a rectangle, and we need a slot so we can put the key ring, that's what it's called. We can put the key ring inside, and that'll be a circle that will be around here. And to do that again, we need to draw a circle, which means to draw a circle, we need to get a sketch. And then we'll go back to sketch here to create a new sketch. One thing that is interesting about CAD or Onshape is that it's not just these planes from top that you can use as your surface. It's like you can use faces of something that you have already made like this as your surface. So imagine that on your table, you draw a box. On your table, you take a piece of paper, you use a marker to sketch out a box. Then imagine that you have extruded that box into like a cube. You draw a square, then you extrude that thing to this, to a cube, right? On top of that cube, you can put another piece of paper and start drawing on top of that cube again and extrude and extrude. That's kind of what is going on here. So we have this model, and on top of it, we want to use the top of this thing as our new sketch plane, as our new piece of paper. So what you do is you can select the top of this thing, and it becomes our second sketch two. And we can see that, yeah, that becomes our new surface. It shows we have a new sketch. Now we're going to work on our circle in sketch two. So you can go here and edit. Since we're going to draw a circle, we're going to go to the sketch tools again. They have appeared. You can see it, circle. And because we want our circle to be somewhere around here, we're going to draw it like this. Again, usually a lot of these things, yeah, we can move it around. This thing, since you're designing for the real world again, it needs to have dimension. You need to know what size it is. So this key ring, this keyhole or whatever also needs a dimension. So you go back to your dimension tool, you can select around the edge of the circle and give it, we give it 6 millimeters. These things are not set in stone. Whatever dimension or size you I would encourage you to experiment with dimension, size, or whatever that you want to do, or even shapes. You can make your own key holder a circle if you want to, right? But we're going to give this that dimension 6, and we can keep it, somewhere here. Uh, this is fine and good, but usually I prefer to know what the distance between here and here is, and the distance between the circle and this place is. So it's one, it stops this thing from moving around. Two, it just, when you're actually manufacturing this thing, when you send it out for someone to 3D print, or when you want to use it in real life, it's usually best practices to have like to know what the distance is. So you can skip over this step and just place your circle anywhere you want, but I think it's helpful. And to tell you to get that kind of distance, you use your dimension tool again. It's very helpful. You can select the edge of this rectangle that we've made, and then select the edge of the circle. That way you can tell what the distance is between this top part and the circle, the edge of the circle is. I say we can give that 2 millimeters, and that should be fine. And we can do the same thing with the dimension tool again here, and define the distance between there and there, and give it 2 millimeters. Yeah, and so we're good. Again, all we have is this sketch and this sketch region, but we need to make a hole through it. And how do we do that? We go back to the extrude again. If we notice again, it says select the face and a region and what to add. If you go over your circle in sketch 2, you can see it that it's highlighting that circle. If you select it, it's going to, you can extrude again, set the distance that you want to extrude and whatever. But what we notice is this is not a hole. This is an extension on top of it. It's just another thing that we have pulled up that is on top of this rectangle. And what this doesn't look right, so we have to go back to our extrude tool and look. You can see that there's a menu here that says new, add, remove, intersect, and this basically tell the extrude what type of thing you want to do. So in add, it just adds another thing on top of it. And it will be a part of the shape. As you can see, they're the same color. If you click on new, it will add it as a different parts that you're just stacking on top of it. And you can see it's create on this side, it's showing as a new model as part 2. If you go back to add, it's taking this whole thing as one shape, one object. But if you go to remove, what remove does is it's whatever shape you have drawn on your sketch, it subtracts that from the body of whatever you're on. And as usual, you can reduce the distance as much as you want. You can go all the way if you want to make a complete hole. If sometimes you might notice that it would look like this, and that's because in the direction that you have put it, it has nothing to subtract from. So you can always turn it back this way. And this way we have the hole going all the way through. And yeah, that's kind of basically, you have your key holder basically, but it doesn't look nice. Like, it's functional, it can work, you're good, you have your slot and all that, but we can do other things to make it look a bit more aesthetically pleasing. And that's where we come to these tools that are here. So these tools that you see outside of the sketch region that you will see usually are used to they're used to edit or perform some operations on the 3D models themselves. This menu you use for performing operation on sketches only. Nothing will happen to any of these. So in the 3D model, 3D split, you see we have extrude again. You can add more to it, or remove or add the new part to it. You have revolve, some of these things, but for now, let's not look at any of these things here, and only the parts that I will talk about, and that's the extrude that you've already seen and you guys are now experts at using. There's a fillet tool, and this is one of my favorite tools because it helps give like a nice, it helps. So imagine like you have sharp edges and you want to make this a bit less sharp. You can grind this against a surface or sand it and it becomes a bit smooth and curved. You can turn this sharp edge into a curve. And so it will ask you what entities what do you want to fillet, and you want to do that to the edges. If you select this edge and pull, you can see it gives this very nice round, cleaner look. And you can select whatever edges you want to do, um, something like this or whatever. But obviously, that's not what we're going for. I think just the edges is fine. And you can select the dimension that you want, the radius that you want for this thing. You can do it arbitrarily if you want, but again, it's always nice to have, if you want to make this again, it's nice to have a defined dimension. So I'll set it to 4, and I will select all the other 4 edges that I would like to fillet here. And to complete that, right click, and we have this. Yeah. So that, Michael, I don't know if this kind of answers some of your questions about bevel and the other tools.
Yeah, I missed the bevel part a bit there because of internet issues.
Yeah,
But
but
how do you control the amount of the curve? Like, let's see that curve. If you wanted it to match the curve of the inner circle, the hole. If you wanted that curve to match it, how would, like,
okay. So we know this is why it's great to dimension. So we know that the what's it called? We know that this radius is, sorry, this circle, the diameter is 6 millimeters. If you want to do that, you want to match it, the radius of the curve can be adjusted in the fillet thing. I don't know if you can see it here, but I set it to 4, and you can set it to 6 because you already know the diameter of that circle. If you make it, then it matches. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So again, you can
yeah,
draw as much as you want to, but if you say you want it to match this circle, you can go back, set it to 6, because you know that in the previous example, you had this as 6. So you know what dimension this circle is and what you want to match it. So you have that as 6. I think it's nice that it matches actually. So I think a radius of 6 is fine for this. Um, yeah, that's one of the other tools that we use. It's not, we don't exactly call it a bevel in um in CAD. It has like a different name. I think it will be a chamfer. And that's the other second tool that I'd show you today, and that's this guy here. It's a chamfer. And it also, what it does is also it works around edges as well, but in a different way. While the fillet will give you a nice smooth curve, a chamfer can basically do something like this for you. It would widen that edge in a different way. You can use a chamfer on other edges and you get something that looks like this, if this is how you want it to look. It's also good in a way that it can recognize edges you know, along a path. I don't know if you can see like these lines. So you You might not have to select all of it. It can just recognize it and do it automatically for you. But yeah, just to make this a bit more aesthetically pleasing, I'm just going to put a fillet around the keyhole. And yeah, no, that's too long. That's too big. Yeah. So if you in what you want to make, again, I encourage experimenting. You can decide to do this bar for bar if you want, but I would encourage experimenting. If or what happens if I put a fillet here is, if I reduce, the fillet size, what would it look like? Would it look aesthetically pleasing? Is this how I want my thing, to look like? Uh, I would encourage you. I would encourage you to do that. I would encourage you, creating a new sketch on top of this. Draw a square somewhere. Uh, Use the extrude tool on that square. Do you want to remove it? You know, what else can you? What else can you do on it? How whatever you want. I'd encourage you to experiment, but it's also good to know, what you're doing. Sorry, to know what's to kind of have an idea of what the outcome you want is before you start. Well, maybe not entirely, but just an idea. And then as you go along, you can change that. Does anyone have any questions? Okay.
Not.
But I just want to say that for the curved edges, I was thinking that we would go with the radius of the circle. Why did we go with the diameter of the circle? I don't know. That part is just confusing.
Oh, okay. Um, it's a mathematical thing in the sense that what you have basically is a circle that is the edge of what you have is double whatever, because it's a concentric it's a because it's a concentric circle. Whatever circle you have, if you draw a circle around this edge or the fillet edge, it's two times whatever circle you have at this edge at this distance, because again we set it to 2, so it's 2 times. It's not a big problem really, and it's something that you can, what's it called, it's something that you can just experiment with and see. But I had a fair idea that this radius is 2 times. If I do a radius here, it will be about 2 times the dimensions of whatever this circle is. I don't know if that kind of makes sense. So does that make sense? Probably doesn't, but
Yeah, because
yeah.
No,
Uh,
it doesn't. Not yet, at least.
okay. So notice. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, notice the distance between the circle and the edge. That's the edge of the keyholder,
Yeah,
right?
you said that at
It
2,
says
right?
Yeah, it says 2 millimeters, right? And then the
Yeah,
radius of the circle would be 3. If the
yeah,
diameter is 6, the radius would be
yeah.
3. It's not quite 2, but because double of because 6 is closer to basically using the entire, like, so the radius of the curve that we need would be 5 millimeters, but 6 is like close enough. Do you understand? So
Okay, so you sort of
3,
like added
yeah,
them.
the radius of the circle of the hole, 3 millimeters plus that 2 would be 5 millimeters. So if we're looking for a perfect number to select as the curve, we'll probably select 5, but 6 is probably okay.
yeah.
So why not
Yeah,
5 then?
I mean, we can always change
we
it.
can we can do it. We can do anything we want.
You can always go back and change it
Okay,
5
okay,
and see. Yeah.
okay,
It,
okay.
it, it it's as much a bit of I won't. It's not that much math, but there's a little bit of math and also a lot of design and how you actually want it to look. It's at the end of the day, it's still aesthetics
Okay.
in some
Thank
kind
you.
of way. Yeah. So that you are not constrained to a particular thing, but the more you use it, the more you understand what it is that you want to get out of it. So you're in control here, whatever you want to do, really.
All right.
If we wanted
Okay,
to,
so
yeah,
the getting it to that 6 or 5 is so it can be more curved, because if it was like, let's say 1 or 2 or 3, it would
yes,
be straight. Okay, okay.
yeah. So if you leave it at, well, you can't use 0 or 0.5. It would probably be, come on, really, we can't do 0.5. Okay. If you leave that 1, it looks like this. I'm sure there's something out there that is made that looks like this. If you leave it at 3, I mean, that's also okay. But this is where you're the creator here. You determine whatever it is you want as your output. We just
All right.
did it. So that's why, again, I would
Mhm.
encourage you to experiment. Again, yeah. So essentially, we're kind of done with a key holder. If you want to do it, you can 3D print this out in whatever color, or laser cut it and have like some of these nice colored acrylic sheets, and they'll cut it out for you, and you're done. You've made something already. But I think everybody likes to have their names. I don't know if everybody likes to have their names on things or like to have texts on things, but I think it would be cool to have, this kind of thing. How do you have, engrave this type of text on whatever it is that you're doing? And you do that again by creating a sketch. You want to draw out your name on it, you want to write out that text, you create a sketch. And we have to select a plane again. And you remember, we can use whatever surface we can put it on, we can make that plane again on top of the surface that you actually want to, put the text on or the sketch on. And that's the top of this key holder. And we've selected it, and then we have that. We have our sketch 3, that's the third sketch. If we want to put some text, we have the text tool here, and you select that text tool and you can draw over the surface. It doesn't have to, at this point, you don't have to set any dimensions yet, but you can, I don't know. Who's volunteering their name? I choose you.
Me.
Okay, EAB, yeah. Yeah. So if we put this, you have the text tool, whatever text you want to write. Different fonts exist that you can use, bold. I mean, all of that stuff in italics if you want it mirrored, if you want it, well, if you want it upside down. I don't know where you'd want that, but again, it's your choice. You're the designer, you're the creator here. And once you're done with your text, you write that. And there you have it. And so to move your text around, you can move it, click one of the what's it called? The edges here to move it around. We maybe want bigger text, so we can use the dimension tool again here. It's like 9. Let's see if we make it 12. Does it get bigger? Yes, it does. Maybe even bigger. Yeah, I think that's fine. Can go here and put it up, drop it right there. Which, once again, it is fine if you want to do it like this, but I typically prefer knowing that it is, somewhere. You can leave it. It's just sometimes you will notice. If I left it here and we, made it, you will see it. But if this is what you're going for, that's fine also. But again, I encourage you to experiment. And yeah, so you can just use the dimension tool again, find the distance between here and here, define that distance. Maybe we can make it, I don't know, 14. Yeah, and that's fine. We can do here and here as well. Maybe that 11. And we're fine. Once again, we have a text, we have a sketch that we cannot really do anything with. And we're going to need to make a 3D model out of this. So what's the next thing we do? Damn, I thought you guys were on Zoom. Export?
Print, export.
Extrude. Yeah, yes. Okay. Just check in. There's an exam at the end of this thing. Well, yeah, we go to the extrude again, and we have to select the sketch regions, and that's the text. So you can select this, select around the text that you've made. Yeah. And so obviously, I mean, again, if this is what you're going for, you can leave it like this. But if you wanted to make this, what would you want to do to this?
Remove.
Or you'd want the whole thing gone?
No, you fine.
Subtract.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Subtract,
you're right. You subtract. Well, you can also, if you want to leave it on top of it, you can, right? But there's one thing that's missing. It's that it's a bit too high, isn't it? Like it's a bit too far. If we left it like this, you can print it like this, but that would be a very, very weird keyholder. But if you change the dimensions here, again, you guys are not wrong. You can change how deep or how high you want it to be. So I think, let's see what a depth of like 2 millimeters is like. Yeah, you can decide to keep it like this if you want, or even lower, maybe 1, like that, and you can print it out and it'll be fine. But that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, or the way this was done, is you use remove, right? See why is the red? Does anyone know why the red stuff is showing?
Because there's nothing to remove from the direction that you put.
Yeah. Okay. Great, guys. See, we're on job. So we change the direction, right? And we can do it this way. And yeah, you can see it's subtracting from the shape. We can go or pull it all the way, and this is what we have. Or we can just pull it not all the way, not too much all the way, but just a little bit in and like halfway. And you have something like this. But the way we did that, we just eyeballed this. We use vibes to pull it. You can give it a more defined depth and come here again, give it like 1 millimeter, and you're good. You're good to go. And that's it. You've designed your key holder. Another thing you can do if you don't like this color, I mean, this does not determine anything. This is just, again, up to you, because when you bring this out to the real world, whatever you want to do with your manufacturer is fine. But you can edit the appearance. Do you want it to be red, yellow, green? What color are you guys feeling?
Pink.
Pink. Okay, let me see if we can find the pink here. Wait, no, yeah, there's a mixer somewhere. I think we can. Yeah, this works. Okay, I don't know if this is the pink it was, but it's something sharp. But yeah, basically you're done. But any other thing that I would encourage, again, try something, make a
It's
sketch
fine.
of it. go to extrude, do something again, mess around with some of these things. If you want to, you can, make your own key holder be maybe a circle, maybe it has its own key slot somewhere here. Yeah, maybe it has its own key slot there. You put your text somewhere around here. Your key holder probably looks like this. You can go again to your sketch. Maybe you don't want to use a circle. You can use lines. Maybe you want your key holder to look like this. I don't know why anyone's key holder will look like that, but again, it's all up to you. And circle, I don't know, somewhere. Where would this even be? And you're good to go. Different styles, you can't do any of these things. But yeah, and as you can see, when you do all of that, it creates a new part when you start to execute. So you can see part 2 is this circular one, part 3 is this, I don't know what shape that is, but yeah. But when you're done with your key holder, when you do make your stuff, you can go to the part that you selected to export this. You need, when you have this here, and it's great design, the name, the color is, great, you've done everything. For you to be able to use this in the real world to actually make something, say you want to 3D print this, you need to export it out and send it into a 3D printer. And so to do that, you go to that part that you have, which is the key holder. You right click on it and you see the button that says export. And you can export it out, give it whatever name you want, but make sure that the format is STL. I don't know what format it will show for you when you do, but when you want to 3D print, just make sure it's STL. Every other thing is fine. And then you can click export and it will show in your browser. So when you guys, again, I'd encourage, you don't have to, you can watch this again or skip over. It will be on the YouTube. I might probably cut out some bits. Would you guys prefer if I cut out some bits to make it shorter, or you can skip through the video? What?
I'm fine
I mean,
with it as it is. Yeah.
I prefer it as it is.
Okay. All right then. So yeah, when you guys are done, when you go through this and try it out, the incentive for you doing this is that if you do finish this key holder, we will get it 3D printed for you and it will be sent to you. Now, a 3D printer just does the printing. So at the end of the day, you made this, whatever it is that you have designed here, you made it. And there's a really, really great feeling that comes from doing something, conceiving something from your mind, putting the work in and actually seeing it in your hands. Like, it's very, very refreshing. So just know whatever you are doing here, when you export it and you send it to a 3D printer, it's your work. And so when you guys do this and you finish, again, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. You have free will. I think I'd find it more interesting if you did something with, if you used your free will and made something. So when you do, you guys can send your STL file, what you just exported, that, and send it to hello@makermaking.com. Just put your name, and I think you can send it with a delivery address as well. Just give us your delivery address or your contact information so we can send it back to you. We can send what you have made to you. Would also include Maker Making stickers. I don't know if no, Jennifer, you have stickers. I think Michael, do you have?
More is always better.
No, actually, I don't have any yet.
Okay, yeah. If you do make this thing, whatever you do make out of it, I know that it might be it's very simple, and some of us are way ahead of others with things like this. But it's great to just like get a feel for it and actually have something that you make. And ABA, this is your first maker making project, so you do actually get to say, yeah, I made this thing, with my name or with whoever's name, or like, you can make for a friend or for, anyone really. And yeah, so I'll put the email address to send your 3D models to, show off your work, let people know you made shit like this, let people know that, well, you don't have to let people know, but like, it's nice, just put it out there. If you do try to make something else and you have a problem with it, we have these things called DESCOs, design consultations. You can book one with any member of the team, and we'd be happy to help. You can have like a free one-on-one session on how to fair, everything's free. A free one-on-one session on whatever your problems are, and we can try to solve it together. So yeah, and that's it for today, for this week. How you guys feeling?
Did you see whatever our problems are?
Not therapy. Just problems with CAD with this thing. Yeah, so we'd be happy to we'd be happy to help you with issues faced in Onshape for CAD Club and making in general. So if you have a project or an idea you can book that. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for actually coming around to this and showing up and actually engaging. It's very, very encouraging. And I really do hope that you guys also find this fulfilling. I really hope you do something with this. I think that would make me very happy. And I'm very needy. So like, thank you. Yeah, we're done for today. If anyone wants to see some stuff that I've been able to make in the past, I can show off. But also, you guys are free to leave as well. I'm going to end the recording now, though. Okay.